Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're unpacking a concept that is literally reshaping how software is created. It's called vibe coding. Now, look, if you've been hearing this term floating around, you might think it sounds like, some kind of magic trick where AI just reads your mind and flawlessly writes perfect software without any human thought whatsoever. Well, let's debunk that right out of the gate. Vibe coding is absolutely not coding without thinking. Actually, as we're going to see today, it's coding with a completely different balance of thinking. The code being generated, it's real software, but the path to getting there has fundamentally changed.
Which brings us to a pretty big question. Would you rather be a bricklayer or an architect? Because for decades, writing software has been heavily weighted toward the bricklayer. Traditional coding often feels like, well, assembling every single piece by hand, right? You're typing every line, placing every semicolon, managing every tiny bit of syntax. But vibe coding completely shifts your role. You are no longer just typing instructions into a machine. You are stepping into the shoes of the architect, the person who keeps adjusting the master plan while the building actually takes shape in real time.
Okay, so let's dive into exactly what this means. Basically, vibe coding is a way of building software by describing your intent and steering the result, rather than writing every line by hand. Imagine for a second that you're planning a renovation for a beautiful terrace house in Melbourne. You don't personally go out and cut every timber beam or wire every electrical switch yourself, do you? Of course not. Instead, you describe exactly what you want, you watch the professional trades work, you notice what doesn't quite fit your vision, and you make the critical judgment calls. Vibe coding is exactly like that. It's this high-speed, dynamic collaboration between your human intention and the AI's output. Your job completely shifts from pure writing to guiding, checking, and deciding.
Section 1. AI generation versus human judgment.
To really grasp how vibe coding works under the hood, we have to look at the massive distinction between the generator and the judge. You see, an AI model is incredible at generating code, suggesting structure and filling in the gaps. It's a generator. But it doesn't naturally know if the result is secure, maintainable, or if it actually aligns with your real business needs. That's because generation and judgment are two completely different jobs. Think of it kind of like having a lightning-fast assistant who can draft 50 possible email replies in 3 seconds. I mean, that assistant is amazing at volume, right? But terrible at deciding which reply is diplomatic or legally safe to send. The AI floods you with options, but you, the human judge, must decide what survives. Why? Because the AI simply cannot own the consequences.
It really all comes down to this idea. Software is really an agreement between intent and behavior. Code is just the written form of an agreement that basically says, hey, when this happens, do that. Think about it. If you walk into a cafe and just say, I want something healthy, the barista has to guess. The result might not be what you meant at all. But if you order a tuna sandwich, no mayo, on sourdough, your chance of success skyrockets. AI can generate a massive amount of code that looks plausible. But here's the thing, plausibility is not correctness. The clearer your human intent, the better the software's behavior.
Section 2. The vibe coding loop.
So, we know humans judge and AI generates, but what does this actually look like in motion? Well, it's a continuous high-speed conversation. Let's break down exactly who does what. Notice where the AI is strongest here, the code layer. It is incredibly fast at producing boilerplate and variations. But now, look at the human's responsibilities: intent, verification, and judgment. You are the one who decides what problem we're actually solving, if the solution is safe, and if it's the right trade-off. Structure, well, that's shared. The AI can draft it, but you reshape it. You see, vibe coding doesn't remove software thinking. It just redistributes it. The machine handles the repetitive stuff, making you absolutely essential for navigating the ambiguity and the real-world consequences.
And this brilliantly illustrates the heart of the whole method. We call it the vibe coding loop. First, you express a goal. Then, the AI instantly produces a candidate solution. You inspect it, and finally, you refine the goal or the code. This completely compresses the distance between your idea and the visible output. It's honestly a lot like using a mirror while getting dressed. Without a mirror, you don't really know how you look until much later, right? But with the mirror, which is the AI in this case, every single adjustment is immediate. It reflects your idea back as visible, editable code, allowing you to narrow the gap between what you meant and what the software actually does, over and over again.
Section 3. A real-world application. Let's ground this high-speed loop in reality. Imagine an Australian team needs a simple internal dashboard to track customer support issues. They need to see open tickets, urgent cases, and response times. Now, in the old days, this would literally take days just to wireframe and start coding.
But with vibe coding, the AI instantly generates a first pass. You get a page layout, a table of tickets, filters, maybe even some charts. It looks impressive immediately. But here's exactly where your job kicks in. You stop doing manual labor and you start asking the strategic questions. What actually counts as urgent? Who needs to see this dashboard? Does the support team care more about trends by day or by team? Should closed tickets disappear entirely or stay visible? The work instantly moves from code generation to decision-making. The AI created the draft for sure, but you, the human, absolutely must determine if that draft matches the complex reality of your business.
Section 4. The new builder mindset. Because the bottleneck is no longer writing code, your daily routine requires a completely new mindset. Look, a weak version of vibe coding is just throwing vague requests at an AI and hoping for the best. A strong version? It's like steering a ship. You know exactly where you want to go, you notice when the current pulls you off course, and you make small, deliberate corrections. You don't need to control every single wave, just the direction. But keep in mind, speed increases your leverage, but it also increases the cost of not understanding what's going on. Think of a powerful blender, right? It makes a smoothie in seconds, but if you toss in the wrong ingredients, it blends them into a total disaster faster than you can even reach for the stop button. True confidence in vibe coding doesn't come from typing fast. It comes from understanding the system, recognizing hidden assumptions, and steering that ship safely.
Which leaves us with this final thought. The absolute fastest way to get in trouble with vibe coding is shallow confidence, basically believing that just because the code ran once, it's totally finished. The goal isn't just fast output. The goal is learning through interaction. So the next time AI produces software for you, don't just look at the output and ask, did it work? You need to ask yourself, did it match my intent? Because the software only becomes real and genuinely useful when the answer to that question is yes. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get out there and start steering your ideas into reality.